Well, hey friends, welcome back to another slab pottery tutorial. Today we are tackling the long-awaited butter dish. This was a project that was requested for quite a while, and I'm so happy to have it for you today. It took a little longer than usual because I wanted to be sure to accommodate at least 2 different butter dish sizes. So I do have a quote-unquote European size, which is also similar to the West Coast American butter size, and also the standard American butter size, the stick size. But I do think that these sizes can apply to a lot of butter around the world. Who knew that making a butter dish would be so complicated? But I'm going to get more into the sizes later. Here you can see I'm already getting into the tutorial, so let's talk about it. So what you've seen so far is I've just cut out each piece that I'm going to be using, the pieces that correspond to the European size butter dish that I'm going to be demonstrating here. However, the steps are exactly the same if you choose the American size. So I cut out the pieces and I rolled out a slab. You want to be working with a 1/2 centimeter slab here. Once the slab is rolled out, you want to just set your template pieces onto the slab, line them up so that you can cut out one of each piece with the exception of the butter dish side. So for the European butter dish, that is K10, and for the US, that's K13. Then, as usual, I always recommend you setting your cut-out template pieces in front of the fan for 5 to 10 minutes so that they can firm up. This is extra important with this template. I would consider this template a slightly more difficult template, an intermediate, let's say an intermediate level of template. You're going to see in a moment why, but the moisture level in your clay here is crucial for how tidy your piece turns out to be. So we're going to start with the lid, and with the side piece, you want to score around the edges, and then you also want to score the long side of the lid. Your template will also show you where exactly you should be scoring here. And then you want to add some slip if you need it. You don't need to add slip. I just added a little bit of water here. It just depends on your clay. And here is the crucial part. So you want to lift up the lid of your pot to attach it to the lid side. But here, you know your moisture level is correct in your clay if it's not sagging too much. Like you can see it's bowed out a little bit on mine here, but like if it's really falling over, that's not what you want. You want your clay to be firm enough here so that it's not going to sag too much while you set it on its side here. This is really important because clay has memory, and you are probably going to struggle later with keeping those edges straight if it's sagging too much here. A little bit is fine. Try and keep it as straight as possible, but yeah, that's what we're going to be looking out for at this stage. And then you just want to repeat it for the other side. Okay, once the 2 sides are attached, we're going to set it aside for now and work on our bottom. So for turning up the bottom edges, what you want to do is score just the corners here, just the part that are cut at a bevel. And then you want to use a ruler here because this is the key to getting sharp edges. So use the ruler to basically like turn up the sides like I'm doing here, and use your thumbs to really push that corner. And then just go around all sides of the dish, turning up each edge one by one, making sure that you blend in those corners so you get a good attachment. Now, when you're moving this, you also want to be sure not to lift it up and like let it flop very much. Try and slide it along and keep the bottom as straight as possible. This is also going to help a lot with warping later on. So now we're back at our lid. I just wanted to set it aside for a moment so that the moisture level could equalize, that the slip could soak in, and it could get a little bit stronger. Now we are going to be blending the edges here, but I'm not focused too much on making it perfect. The blending here is a more structural blend. It's just to get that attachment really well done. I'm going to save tidying it up and making it really look nice for later when it's drier. So once it's well blended, you can just set it aside and we'll deal with the scriggly bits later on. For the handle, I like to use this thick ruler. I'd say it's about a centimeter, maybe 1.5 centimeters thick. You can use whatever, just something round really helps to form that handle. We're going to set it on our lid, make sure it's nice and even, and mark where it's attaching. Score as you would anything else. You can also add some slip here if you like. And then attaching it, you don't want to push directly on, unless your clay has a lot of grog in it. It's probably not going to be strong enough to just push the handle in. So what I did is I turned it up on its side, which allowed me to support the inside that I was pushing into with my other hand. So yeah, I'm turning it so you can see a little bit better here. My hand is supporting the lid so that I'm not like collapsing the lid when I'm pushing the handle into it. And there you go. You can just tidy it up with a paintbrush. I always like to use that to clean up extra scoring marks. You can see I made a few of them here and I'm letting them dry overnight to firm up a little bit under some plastic. You want them to firm up now to leather hard. Now, this is the point that we're going to be tidying things up. I pretty much do this with all of my templates. I always find that when you let things get to leather hard, they just look nicer. They end up crispier. They're just, you know, it definitely pays to be patient with ceramics. So I'm just blending and smoothing, you know, just as much as I want to. You can do it as long as you want. And then you can see how nice they look together. Ta-da! Okay, they're finally ready to be fired. So with bisque, I will fire them together, the two parts of the butter dish. The weight of the lid on the base is going to help keep it flat, but of course for the glaze fire, I will have to fire them separately. So popping them in for the final fire. And here is the final result. So I've got my US butter dish and I've got my European butter dish. And I'm using these terms loosely. I'm sure that there's different styles all over the world. I'm going to add on the screen right now the different sizes of like the interior of the butter dishes, assuming 0.5 centimeter walls and a 10% shrinkage rate, which is what I did here. And then you can measure your butter at home and see if that's going to fit within there. So fun fact, I really wanted to get an American size butter dish so I could show you guys that it would fit, but obviously you can't get those here. So what I did is I had my mom mail me the wax paper so I would be sure to get it correct, and then I just cut down a normal butter to fit there. I thought that was pretty extra. I hope you enjoyed the video. I have the template linked down below, and until next month, bye friends.